John Jones got stuck and died in a hole much like this. John Jones went in the cave off of a childhood memory of him going through the cave and going through a small passage to a different zone. He came back as an adult around about 20 years later. He was much more heavier weight, and he tried to get in a hole much like this, not knowing if it was the right pool or not, because it's only a faint memory. He went in the cave passage by himself, with no one there to tell him if it's the right way, and he decided to go headfirst in. So he was facing downhill against gravity, not knowing where the passage went. All he thought was, I'm almost there, I'm almost there. Just keep on pushing, but the farther he pushed, the tighter the passage got. The hole that John Jones went through is the size of this little knuckle here that I'm fitting through. That is really hard to get through. He created a reality in his mind. What if this was the right way? He had a waterfall of reactions that led to his death. And those are the things John Jones did wrong.
So the main cave fear is getting stuck. Because we've all watched the John Jones videos and read the John Jones story of how he got stuck in a cave. But it takes a very specific and special set of circumstances in order to get stuck in a cave. You have to be able to get yourself inside a passage in which you cannot get yourself backed out of. Most people will not go into a passage in which they cannot exit, either going forward or back. Every passage we take, including the one you're watching here, we can get in from the front or the back, and it is actually not vertical. So gravity is not assisting me when I do this. I'm laying flat. You don't really want to go through something vertical, especially head first. In particular, if you haven't gone feet first before. I think of the danger of getting stuck in a cave like I think of the danger of getting struck by lightning. It's extremely rare. But if you want to go outside with an umbrella during a storm and stand on a mountaintop, you can increase your risk by just being really dumb. Getting stuck in a cave is so rare that John Jones is the only person in recorded modern history to have it happen to. There are stories of it happening to one person in the early 1900s because they got their arm wedged between the wall and a rock which fell. But otherwise, it does not happen. You can be afraid of it if you want, but it does not happen. It's not a real cave danger.
I'll just show my light. Getting lost in a cave is something that you might think is really easy to do.
This is a labyrinth cave, and labyrinth caves are extremely rare. There are caves in which getting lost is a reality. There are caves in which you need to have a map, you need to have a guide. Lava tubes in the Pacific Northwest, they're really not like that. No. They're almost always straight through. They'll have little rooms to the side that you think you can go down and get lost, but the reality is it's a straight out and straight back. What we find, Jacob, is that some of the things that you'd be most afraid of in a cave bring the least danger in reality. Getting lost in a cave is not a real cave danger.
No.
It's very unlikely to happen. Did you know that caves are actually pretty safe during an earthquake, depending on the time, depending on the style and type of the earthquake? Now, if you're under breakdown where there's loose rocks, that would be dangerous. But I got news for you. Being anywhere during an earthquake would be dangerous. In a room like this, which has a dome-like structure, a tube underground is one of the safest places you could be in an earthquake. In very fact, it's safer than the surface. So in some ways, in some caves, in some respects, if there was an earthquake, you would be safer going into the cave. Look at this room, the shape of it. Physics says that a round tube is the safest structure during an earthquake. Now, would I want to be in here during an earthquake? No. This cave is 8,000 years old. When it was formed, it melted, it froze, and it has not moved since then. And I don't know how many earthquakes it's been in. But there are times when there is an earthquake and you are safer in a cave than you are on a surface. A cave is actually a relatively safe place to be. Once again, it's one of the real cave fears that isn't a real cave danger. Caves are a place you might think an animal might be found. You might think it's dangerous to go in a cave because you might get attacked by a bear or a mountain lion or a coyote or a cow or an alligator or whatever might venture into this kind of cave. We know that there are bats in caves. We know that there are spiders in caves. The cave I'm in currently has no spiders, but some caves have little critters on the wall, have crickets. Some people say the crickets bite, the crickets sting. The fact of the matter is, you're in very little danger from animals inside a cave. All caves have a problem for you and for every animal. So what's the reason that you're almost never going to find an animal in a cave? Why would no animal go in there?
They can't see.
Because they can't see. A cave is dark, and an animal can't see where it's going. Behind me is about a 20 to 30 foot ledge. It goes straight off. If you didn't have lights, and even if you did have lights, it's possible that you could walk right off that ledge. Animals don't like caves. You find bats in caves, you find sometimes little critters in the entrance, but nothing that's going to hurt you. A bear can go in a den about 10 feet. It's not going to go further in there. No animal wants to be inside pitch black any more than you do. Have you ever forgot that there was a ceiling above your head and stood up too quickly?
Yes, it just bang! My dad does it, and he doesn't wear headgear, so he has bloody all.
Yeah, if you don't wear, let's move on. If you don't wear headgear, you're liable to hit. I hit my head 10 times per cave. This one's not too bad, but some rooms get lower and lower, and actually this kind of room is the worst room. The ones where, look at this, the ones where you think everything's going to be fine, or you're walking and then you forget the level of the ceiling, and then you just boop, stand up, one of these little things sitting down here grabs your head and will tear your skull open. That's not something you're going to be afraid of in a cave, but that's a real cave danger. That's a real danger being in here. We find the things that you're afraid of in a cave aren't really necessarily the big dangers. The real dangers are the things that you don't think about. Slipping and falling, hitting your head, cold water. The reality is, that's a real danger, where getting stuck, getting lost, those are not real cave dangers.
Water in a cave is your real danger. It might seem fun and all, splash in it, but once you get cold and wet, it's gonna get really uncomfortable.
Water moves heat off the body 20 times faster than the ambient air. In most caves, I think, are the ambient or the average air temperature of the outside. So if your climate is around 60 or 70, the cave is a constant 60 or 70. Lava tubes in the Pacific Northwest are the ambient temperature of the ground, which is usually between 35 and 45. A lot of the caves around here are actually right around freezing, 34, 35 degrees Fahrenheit, or right close to 0 Celsius for our international viewers. And so the water is right above freezing. And you can imagine if freezing water, if you fall in this or get your leg wet and you're hours out before you can get out of the cave, you will get hypothermia so quick. Hypothermia sets in at like 5 minutes or less when it's just above freezing, the water temperature, 3 or 4 minutes, and death comes in like 20 to 30 minutes. You do not want to get wet and damp and cold in a cave. We're not far from the surface here, but we're still being careful. I always tell Jacob, don't get wet. Keep your feet dry. If you're going to get wet, at least wait till we're leaving the cave, because if we get wet in here, we're going to have a bad time.
One of the most primary dangers of caving is falling. Whether it be up on a ledge like this or tripping over your own feet.
It's easy to stumble and fall. It's easy to slip and hit your knee and get cut. That's the main way people get hurt in caves. Every caving injury that takes place is almost always a result of somebody falling. There is real danger here. All the things that people complain about don't have danger. This has real danger, and so one has to be careful. If you go that way, it's about 50 feet, but right here it's about 15, and there's some knuckles that I think I can barrel over. I do not love that. I'm gonna do two things. One, I'm going to try to keep my weight on these rocks because this is a little bit like bouldering down this. And I'm going to only let my weight on the rope when it is necessary. It has real danger until I have done this. And you never want to get too comfortable with it. I like to use footholds. This rope is prepared for that. Yes, I can. I don't mind doing the scrambles. It's kind of fun. There's my foot. We're free. The odds of you getting hurt in a cave in any way other than falling is pretty low. Falling is the primary cave danger, at least here in these types of caves. Things that you have the biggest fears of in a cave, like darkness and getting lost and getting stuck, John Jones style, they're not real cave dangers. They're not high cave dangers. They are not likely to happen. It's very rare that things like this remotely get close to happening. There are some real cave dangers: falling, getting in cold water, getting hypothermia. Of all the things we thought about, what is the one thing that makes caves a dangerous place to be?
You can't get help.
You can't get help. When you're in a cave, you have no cell reception. If you didn't tell somebody you're in there, no one is going to find you. If you sprain an ankle and just get a little injury, there is no calling for help. It is you and whoever you are with. Now out here, we don't have cell reception, even once we leave the cave. So there is a series of things you have to do in order to be safe, because if we get the likelihood of having a problem in a cave is low, but if you have a problem, no one is coming to help. And for that reason, they try to keep people out of caves. Not because the cave is dangerous, but because humans are prone to make bad decisions. And if you make a bad decision in a cave, no one can come and help you. But the real danger of caving is that any danger that does exist exists in a vacuum. No one knows that you're in trouble. And so that is the main reason that you need to be careful. Here, eat it. Yeah, there you go. I'll take it. Give it a push. Here comes Jacob.
Come Santa Claus.
You need to gain like 100 pounds to become my size and try to fit through that thing.
This
It's right
is actually
there.
quite nice. I can sleep here.
Yeah.